Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Disability Landscape. I'm Charlie Bros, and with me today, as always, is Mark Knutson.
Hey, Charlie, and today I'm looking forward to it because we're going to have someone who I've seen out and about, and haven't really had a chance to talk to her, but I'd like to introduce right now Brittanie Wilson, who is a disability advocate and just kind of starting out being, well, you've been doing this for a little bit, but you're, I should say, relatively new. So welcome to the show, right, Brittanie?
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me. Such a pleasure to be here. I use a wheelchair and I have a disability called arthrogryposis. So I feel like I've been self-advocating for myself for my whole life, 33 years. But now I am kind of, moving that out into a larger sphere to advocate for the community at large.
Okay. Now, originally I think you're from St. Cloud, I believe, correct?
Yep, I was born in Seattle, and then when I was 7, I moved to St. Cloud, and I grew up there. I went to college there, and about 7 years ago, I moved to St. Paul, and I've lived in St. Paul ever since. I really, really like it here.
So what brought the move to the Twin Cities?
There were a couple of different things. At the time, I was seeing someone who lived in the city. So, I wanted to be closer to them. But a lot of other things pulled me to the city, into city life. In St. Cloud, I was usually the only person of color or person with a disability in a room or within however many radius, basically diversity. I wanted to be around different people. I wanted to be around a bunch of different cultures, and I wanted to have kind of have that feeling of being what do they say, like a big fish or a small fish in a big pond type thing, growing up in St. Cloud, it's a smaller town, not tiny, but it's smaller. And so, you just kind of, I think when you grow up there in a town like that, a lot of people. Like, everyone knew my mom, she always had tabs on me, and I didn't know how.
No,
I'm like,
the untold story is coming out now. Just say, I wanted to get away from the family.
Exactly. I feel like with people, people with physical disabilities, sometimes moving away from our families, that can be really hard, especially if we, need care and stuff like that. Yep. And so the first chance I could get, really, to get out and to be on my own and, fly my wings, so to speak, I took it.
So now, Brittanie, you've been self-advocating pretty much all your life, as you said. How did that evolve into advocating for other people's rights with disabilities?
Yeah,
and such?
That's such a good question. I like you said, I've always been kind of self-advocating for myself. People with disabilities, I feel like we have to typically fight for everything we have. And so I feel like for a lot of my life, I was just fighting to be able to work while staying on a waiver in the state, and making competitive wages, wanting to be able to support myself and kind of getting out as much as I can anyways of the system. And I think I spent a lot of my younger years really doing that and fighting for that. And as I moved to St. Paul and I got a job, I worked for a bank, and I started feeling, just independent, living my life, moving away from the family. I really got to think about my life in terms of, well, what do I want to do now? I've kind of fought to be here in this place, and now I'm getting comfortable. Okay, I got to push myself and figure out what to do. And, looking back on it now, I'm like, the answer was so simple, but sometimes I feel I get in my head too much. I think about things too much. And so, I decided that I wanted to use, the skills that I have to help my community at large. People that I was meeting in the community, just telling them about, how I got started working and how I, did this and that. It just made me realize that we need more of that in our community. We need more voices. And so a friend of mine told me about Partners in Policymaking. She went to it, and she's like, you got to look it up. It's free. It's like all about
Yeah,
disability
it's a really good,
advocacy.
yeah,
Yep. And so I looked it up to apply, and the application was due like 3 days later. I mean, it just seemed like this is exactly what I need to be doing. So I
right, right.
applied. I got in last summer to Partners, and
Oh,
that
that recent, oh,
program,
that recent, okay.
that
I,
recent,
I, I
yep.
yeah, because I heard you had gone through it, but I didn't realize how recent it was in that. So
Yeah.
continue on, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. So, I took this class. It got, about halfway through, we had to stop because of Corona. Corona ruined everything, right?
Oh,
But, but,
yeah,
so we had to switch to kind of like an online format. But that class, Partners in Policymaking, changed my life. It really just put forward so much information, connections, knowledge. I mean, the law, I feel like once we know the law, especially as disabled people, I felt like it gave me more confidence because I knew I had, the law on my side, so to speak. When you know your rights, I think it's a lot, or can be easier to advocate for yourself because you know the things you're asking for, access
right.
to
Oh,
things.
yeah,
That's just like the bare minimum.
yeah, yeah,
And honestly, I know I'm on the right path because ever since I started, once I said it out loud, this is what I want to do. I want to go into advocacy. I mean, things have just fallen into place. And now I'm extremely involved and doing a lot of different things. And it's been awesome.
now what kind of, in that class, um, if what kind of things did they um teach you, I guess? What are the big things that you took away or they presented to you during that class?
Yeah, the class goes through every like sphere of what it means or to be disabled, have disability policies. So the very first class really touched my heart, and everyone's heart was kind of broken. The first class, they really light a fire under you, and it's because they go over disability history. And Colleen
Oh,
Wick, the
right, yeah,
director, the director of the program, Colleen Wick, she, spends hours, going over the disability history. And if you guys know, I'm sure you do, anything about disability history, it's not pretty. It's not a pretty
no,
history, right? It's not a fun,
right.
loving history. You really learn how for centuries we have been oppressed and how we've been, locked away, left for dead, and
And
how
and
not to bring it to that
especially,
level.
yeah, and well, I shouldn't especially, but even more so for individuals who need the personal care
Hmm.
assistance. Like for me and Charlie, we're, we do have our disabilities and that, but our everyday life, we're able to manage everything on our own. So someone who does need assistance, yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, it's still a big struggle, and that for that the whole world of PCAs.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So, and I'm someone who needs that care, and who does require a PCA for things. And, you really learn, like, we've come a long way, and, but we still have so much further to go. And there's still so many stigmas and stereotypes about disability in our culture, not even just in
Right.
the States, but globally. And we as a people, I mean, we're just so strong. So that was the first class, and that really impacted me for the rest because it put into perspective, I'm in the right place, I'm doing the right thing. you know my community has come so far. I need to be a part of this change going forward. I need to be a part of this movement. Disability justice is a really big thing to me. And, disability justice is about leading, having people most marginalized, so Black and brown people at the forefront of the disability rights movement. And so anyways, not to get off topic, but in Partners, you learn all about your federal rights. You meet people from all over the country that come and talk to you about the laws, you know, the ADA. You go over how to talk to a representative. You go to the Capitol with your class and you meet your local representatives from the state. And I'm sure I'm missing a ton, but I mean, they just go over
right.
A to Z about disability. And it's extremely empowering because we all, I think in that class, you realize like you have a story to tell and your story matters, and how powerful these stories can be when we are trying to change laws and, you know, change those stereotypes that exist about being disabled.
So, so what is your educational background, Brittanie, and has it really helped in kind of shaping, you know, your advocacies?
Yeah. So I went to school in St. Cloud. I graduated from high school and then I went to St. Cloud State and I got a degree in communication studies.
Oh, that'll help.
And yeah, right. And it's so funny, you know, everything has kind of happened for a reason, but I didn't know it at the time. You know,
Right.
I was one of those people that when I signed up for college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I think with people with disabilities as well, like those expectations aren't always set for us, you know? And
We're kind of like pigeonholed into these areas, and you gotta think more out of what you really want to do and
Mhm.
decide. Go ahead.
Mhm. Absolutely. And, you know, I grew up in a household where my mom told me, like, you're going to college. So I went to college not really knowing what I wanted to do. And I was someone who took generals for the first 2 years, and the
Okay.
communication studies classes always intrigued me, always left me excited and wanting more. And so that's why I ended up taking, you know, that as a major. And, you know, writing speeches, I mean, you know, going over types of communication. I mean, I just took nonverbal communication, gender studies. I mean, you name it, anything with communication, I took and just kind of ate up. I think that it helped me tremendously because I think part of being an advocate is telling your story, whether that's in front of a legislator or in front of a neighbor. Like, you know, we are getting comfortable with sharing our experiences and our stories is really important, you know, but it has to come from the heart, because a lot of I think stories can revolve a little bit around trauma, and no one is owed our story. But I think when you're comfortable sharing it and you can realize the power of it, you know, communication studies really prepared me to be in front of a room of people and to be able to say, hey, you know, this is what is going on. And I've talked to legislators and the governor and done all sorts of things since then. And I know communication studies has helped give me the confidence to say, okay, I can do this.
And do you think also, I was going to say, with taking the class in you know, in policy making and that, did that help at least kind of peel away the scariness of talking with people at the Capitol? And, you know, I mean, yeah, you went to school for communications, so you're comfortable, like, okay, I know how I should present myself and all that, but still, I would think just going to the Capitol and speaking to, I shouldn't say the real politicians, but just being at the Capitol, you're like, okay, this is the big leagues now. You know?
Totally, you know, a little bit of that for sure, because politics was not something I was interested in per se.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wasn't someone who grew up, you know, following politics. And I wouldn't say that it excited me 2 or 3 years ago. Now things are
Yeah.
different. And I realized that if we want something Well, a couple things. One thing I realized is I think disability is more of a political identity than anything. I
Mhm.
think that you have to be political. Like our existence is resistance, right? So just
Yep.
us being and living and being in the community and doing things, I mean, that's resistance right there, and that's political. And I wish it wasn't, but it is. And so, just taking this class and like being forced to kind of meet my legislators. I say
Yeah,
forced
yeah.
lovingly, of course, but meeting city council members and legislators, honestly, I was kind of like, oh, that's it. Because you realize that these people are human beings and there's nothing
Yeah.
special about them, right? Well, okay, I shouldn't say it like that because they do their work, but what I mean is that I think we tend to place people in positions of power on pedestals,
Sure.
and when you meet them in real life and you get to know them, you realize that they're just like you and me. There's nothing extra special about them. They just have a different job where maybe they have more power, or control over certain things, but I mean, they're human beings. And so that to me was really kind of like, it made me realize that I'm just as powerful, and that I don't need to put anyone on a pedestal, and that my voice matters. Um, and so, yeah,
Okay.
that was a big
Now,
revelation for me.
now, recently, Mark and I had the opportunity to speak to your good friend, Nikki Villafacenzio. I hope I didn't
Yes,
butcher it again.
you did
And,
great.
she won the seat on the Maplewood City Council, which is, phenomenal for her and for the
Mhm.
city there. Do you see politics in your future in that respect?
That's a good
As she
question.
tripped, as she pulled you into the world.
Oh, Nikki, I love her so much. Her and
Feel free to
I.
announce anything here. If you feel free to announce anything if you want. We do like breaking news on Disability Channel, Minnesota.
Breaking news. Okay. No, I am not going to be breaking any big news here today. I hate to put
Okay.
a damper on that. Um, Nikki is so great. I helped her with her election, and it was so amazing to watch someone just go out there and get what she wants and what she deserves.
Right.
It's not her first merry-go-round or round. I don't know. It's not the first time she's run for office, is
Yeah, it's
what I'm
not her
trying to
first
Sure,
say.
sure.
rodeo.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's
Not
not
her
her first
first rodeo.
Thank
but
you.
but she took her
Not a
lumps the
problem.
first time out and,
Oh, always
and
glad to help a
prevailed.
communication specialist.
I'm
Which you
fired
can
up
tell
about
from
this.
the way Mark talks, he's not a communication specialist, but he does
Right.
get the point across.
Every once in a while I can come up with that word. So
Oh
but
yeah.
go ahead.
She's just so awesome. And I think we need more disabled leaders. I feel that her just being there and having a seat at that table now is just going to inherently change things.
Right.
Her
Yep.
being a mom, a wife, a friend, a leader in the community. It's really powerful. And I really think that it's even more powerful for the little, you know, the people in school right now, the little Nickies, I should say, maybe, that are in elementary school right now, that get to say and see, someone disabled as being an elected leader. That's really powerful, and that can go a long way into planting seeds. So I'm so excited for her. She deserves it. And what a powerhouse. Has she pulled me in? Absolutely. I told her that she was one of the first people that I went to when I said, okay, I'm going to be serious about being an advocate now, and I want to make this my career and my life. And, she really just sucked me in from there. She knew, all right, you want to do this? Well, I'm going to get you involved now. And so just many thanks to her for being such a dynamic leader in this space.
Were you involved with her previous campaign at all then, or?
Not really, no.
Yeah,
I was not, and I'm really sad that I wasn't at that time. I wasn't in a space in my life where I could be much help, if I'm honest,
right.
in that way. And so this time around, I made sure that I could do as much as I could for her because she had to get in.
Yeah. I would like you to just mention a little bit because, in January here, another session um, is starting up. And where I've seen you a couple times, because I've only been there a couple times, but could you just mention a little bit about the event Capitol, Tuesdays at the Capitol?
Yeah, I mean, I've only been to. I haven't been to too many, and I'm definitely
Okay.
not an expert on it. I did go to Disability Day at the Capitol in
Oh,
last
yeah.
February, and so
Yeah,
that might be,
that's when I saw it. Yep. And
yep,
one
that might
previous
be
time.
where,
Yep. Yep.
yep, and
Yep.
that was actually, believe it or not, that was the first time I had ever went to anything like that.
Oh, it was. Okay.
It
Okay.
was,
Yeah. So
yep, I didn't.
it's every Tuesday then, right?
I believe so. I don't know how they're transitioning that in the COVID world now. I'm sure they're doing
Right.
stuff
I'm sure.
online.
Yeah. I think they finished it out last year online and that. So,
Hopefully
people
this
are
spring
interested.
we'll get back to semi-normal.
Oh, I
Right.
can't wait. I can't wait. That was such a powerful day.
Mm.
Just being around the community, and like disability is, as we all know, is so um it's different for everyone. And our community spans every single group, I think, in the world, right? Like, and
Yeah.
there's so much culture and diversity in disability.
Right. Right.
And
Yep.
Mhm.
so for me, it was cool to be there and to be around all kinds of people, and to know that, like, even though, I have a physical disability, someone may, have an invisible disability or something, just being able to feel the power and strength that we all have. Like, we're a part of this community, but we're from everywhere. Like,
Mhm.
that's a really powerful statement and feeling for me. So I loved going there. It was so great. It was for everything changed.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, we are a group of people in a way. Me and Charlie kind of joke about where with the disabled community, if you're not part of the disabled community, it's only a matter of time. We'll get you sooner or later.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Age
it's,
catches up.
hopefully it's later, but yeah, yeah, we have all races and, uh, you name the type of individual and just, we have them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a matter of if, like you said, but really a matter of when, right? And
Yeah.
that's what's so hard for me to wrap my mind around when, like, we're fighting for like basic rights just to like enter a building. It's like, come on, like, when you make things accessible and not just a ramp, but
Yeah.
when you really make things accessible and you consider the myriad of disabilities, I feel like when you do that, you're opening up your space to so much more, to so many more possibilities. And it always frustrated me because of, like, you know if you're going to be disabled at some point in your life, why wouldn't you just do this to make your eventual life easier too? Like,
Yeah.
and
Right. Yeah.
it's hard.
Well, and yeah, Mark and I go back, far enough that we were basically adults when the ADA was passed.
Mm,
And so we had to kind of grow and live through the changes that came with that. And it's a factor of learning how life was improving and changing when that came into effect. Um, but yet there's still so much more to do.
mm-hmm.
And we appreciate people like you who put yourself out there and go, let's keep making things better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Let's make things better. And and it is kind of, I think, the hard thing about about some of this is that it is such step by step by step things, you know.
Yep.
I feel
Right.
like right now we're in such a time where it's like if something isn't accessible or is going against the ADA, you really have to sue someone to get anywhere. And
Yeah.
it's like when you're talking to a community that in general or mostly, you know, we are in a forced poverty in a lot of ways, especially if you rely on services. You know, it's sad that that's what it comes down to, is suing someone for them to just do the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Do you ever get a sense of from where you work, what their thoughts are with you being so out there and an advocate
Yeah.
and and that have they ever mentioned anything to you or
Yeah, you know, I work for US Bank. They have been really incremental in my ability to be an advocate. And, you know, when I took partners, I needed a weekend every month off of work. You know, I needed like a Friday off every month for,
Hmm.
you know, 8 months. And
okay.
they made
Oh
sure
wow,
that yeah, it's an 8 month program,
that's right.
once a week
Yep,
or once
yep,
a month, excuse me. Yep.
yep.
And so, you know, they made sure that I had the ability to do that, and that you know, I would have that time off. And there have been many a times when I say, hey, can I get 2 hours off, you know, in a couple days, because I need to go to the Capitol and like yell at the politicians to sign the PCA bill, you know.
Right.
You know, and so they've been really understanding.
Good.
My managers, they understand that, you know, this is a passion of mine, and they are all for it. And they you know, I actually presented to my team about advocacy and allyship just in general, not with this disability, but just in, you know, in general, having people's backs and kind of knowing how to pass the mic, so to speak, if you've got, you know, privileges that others don't. And that was really powerful to kind of share that message with my team and with other people in the bank.
Okay.
And so they've been really understanding and very supportive, and you know, I'm forever grateful to that.
Cool.
Yeah.
No, it's very encouraging that they are supportive in that manner, because you know, 20, 30 years ago, they said, you know, use your own time, go away. But, you know, now that they're more accepting and they're more encouraging for their employees to be out there in the community and, you know, helping others along.
Absolutely. Yep.
Anything else you wanted to add, Charlie? I think we're coming to our time limit here.
No, but Brittany, it's exciting to meet you. I hope that, you know, by this spring, you know, everybody gets their vaccine and we can meet you at the Capitol and, you know, watch you in action, because it would sound, I think it would make everybody's day.
Aw, thank you. I've had such a great time. I can't believe the time flew by so fast. So I'm sure we will see each other again. And yes, hopefully in person.
Okay, I guess I'll close her out then. For myself, Mark Knudsen, for Brittanie Wilson, and for Charlie Bros. This has been Disability Landscape, and thank you for watching.